All right, we're good. Well, first of all, thank you all for being here on such a gorgeous evening. We're going to be conducting a workshop with the enforcement officer's list of issues in relation to recode. And unless the board objects, I'd like to, once we get through that, because I don't think that's going to take a great amount of time. I'd like to maybe talk about kind of going forward and what your needs might be or whatever, so that the planning staff can start to prepare information to support workshops. So if anyone objects, please let me know. But in the meantime,
I have a question.
okay,
Okay, so you said, I was under the impression that we were going to go through a list and how it pertains to current code. And is this now a list that pertains to recode? Is that
well,
distinct
that's,
difference?
well, yes, and I think that's one of the things that we can find out talking to Tom,
Okay,
right? Because I think some of this may already be incorporated in our current code. But I'm not smart enough to tell you what is or isn't.
okay, because the only resolved and unresolved and pending is all to do with recode.
Okay,
Okay,
so this is the list, and that's why
okay,
I'll let the expert tell us what the list is, where it's at, and you can ask any and all questions. And I appreciate any input as well from CPIC. So,
okay.
Tom, you're on center stage.
Thank you. And I'll just say, you can stop this and move on at any time. Why I said that.
And maybe back to her question though, just in general. Is this entire list everything that needs to be incorporated in either code, the current or the new code or recode? Or is it just, I guess, explain to us what this list represents?
This is something I generated back in 2022. I was asked if I had any concerns with the current code. And these were just issues that I flagged. And what you have in front of you, the Excel spreadsheet, you'll see the shaded cells and non-shaded cells. The shaded are more policy, and the non-shaded were effectively technical or clerical errors that I just noticed. And that's the extent of the list. This was passed out to whoever wanted it. And so whatever's on here, I just the current recode draft and just mark these items as either resolved, unresolved, or I guess there's a few pending ones, and I withdrew a couple. That said, I don't have much information on the resolution process, just the fact that it was, and after reviewing the codes in comparison. The list in itself doesn't tell you much. It was kind of generated in hopes that we start a discussion on any of the items. That really didn't happen to the extent I thought it might. So a few years later, if it's interested, I haven't shared this with anyone. I just took current zoning and went through and redlined everything with what I had an issue with, aside from the policy. So anything shaded, I didn't do because that's something I'm not going to decide as policy. That's the board or town's decision. And that's the extent of it. I mean, I can just go through some of this if you want. If you want to keep going, just let me go. If you want to stop me. But what I did, so this is the current ordinance you see on the screen. The draft that was in effect in 2024. I haven't updated this. This just stopped back then. So 2022 was this Excel spreadsheet. 2024, I did the red line and now the extent of it. So I'll just get to the first comment. This is in, as you see list here, this is section 6. 25 section, and the section numbers are underneath it, and that's the first column. That's what it relates to. Section 6 is the definition section, and that's what we're in here. Well, I guess, and in the 2 years in between the two of these, I may have added things that aren't necessarily on this, but everything that you're looking at on the screen is more of a clerical. So this is just the first comment. I had a brief party this is in the zoning ordinance and three party is some, to me, it encompasses other chapters of the code. So my comment is, the other chapters are not regulated by under 225, so that's just why they're listed.
So this first group is all section 6, which is what you're referring to.
Yeah,
And then the ones that are gray were,
those would be more of a
More
policy issue,
policy,
so
right,
you're not gonna see them in the document I have on the screen.
okay, and then the document you have on the screen is
Chapter 225, the zoning ordinance as of 2024,
the existing, not the recode.
not the recode, no, correct.
And so there is a red line of that has that in it, but it's never gone through us or the town.
It was just me.
Okay.
Yep. In case it ever came up. Now, if you're interested in, I mean, that's what this is all about. This may not be interesting to you at this point. The other thing that on this Excel spreadsheet, I did check it against the current draft or recode. But what originated on the 2022 list, and its status as of the posted recodes of the 420, 2024, 2025 version 3 that's on the website. If you'd rather go down that one, that's fine. What I did is I took each section and just compared it to the recode and then just mark the status and then put a brief description. So you see this Y2 is the same, the very first line. Dwelling residential dwelling was resolved. Definition of residential dwelling unit was removed. And so
So if we took that very first one,
on.
you said Y2 the same, so you eliminated one. And the recode document's been updated to reflect that.
Correct.
And there's a red line in the current zoning.
It should be.
No, I'm not trying to trick you.
It's
No, I literally am just trying to understand, so.
Yeah.
All right, so if we say, going down your column then, where it says resolved.
Yeah.
For the most part, then they've been incorporated in the recode, but they also are red lines in the current code.
Yes.
Can I make a comment? So on the food processing one, in the recode document, it's just not in there.
Right.
There's nothing that says it was removed. It's not redlined.
Right.
So it just was never in there. It just didn't come through in there.
I guess. Yeah, I don't have any information on
Okay,
how it's
so
that way.
I mean, because we do have several food processing places in Topsham. You know, we have Hancock, I guess, is out of business now, but then there's like the coffee place. I mean, there's several places that would fall under food processing in Topsham. So do they now fall in recode under what?
They'll probably fall under something else. They need to go away. And we would need to, yeah, that's where the comparison to the use charts come in. So what happened in recode?
Right, it got generalized.
A lot of these uses got more general
Right,
and covered more things.
right, and who would make the decision on if that fits under one of the generalized uses, Tom?
Decision.
Yeah, who would decide that? If
Sounds good.
a food processing plant were to come, who would say that it could go?
Do you mean
She's been
after
doing a
it's
really
been,
good comparison.
do you mean after it's been adopted, Marilyn, or like while we're working on it?
I mean, theoretically, if recode was adopted and someone came to the town with a food processing business, and there's no definition of it in here, and there's a generalized food use that doesn't mention food processing, who in the town or which board would decide if food processing is allowed?
You, correct?
Yeah, so.
But if it's a removed use, how do you then approve it?
Because it would fall under a larger, more broader use. But I will say that we've been working on fixing the use code because I think I've been candid and I don't think the use code that is in the current draft of the recode is in a good place. I think it needed work. I think that it was broadened in certain places and restricted in others. we've been trying to combine the current code with the recode to bring, there was some good things that were done in it, I think, made things a little clearer. So we've been trying to combine that, and that's something that we can look at soon. We've talked about that before. We wanted to start with Tom's list. I don't have that ready for you tonight, but we can get into all of those nitty gritties. But those, while we've been working on this use table, I will say Tom is in every meeting, and Tom and Josh and I have all been working on it because we look at it from different perspectives. And there have been multiple times, where we'll talk about something, and you go, okay, but Tom, how would you look at this? Because that's very important to us, how the enforcement, how it actually will work under the new code, and that we're not creating a situation where the coffee roastery is non-conforming. I don't think anyone intends for that. They just thought, because, there's a good example that, like, in the current use table, we've got like 5 uses that are all, recode put them under something called waste related use. That actually makes sense because they're all only allowed in the industrial zone. They're like commercial composting. I don't remember the other ones. But we looked through, and that was an issue where it kind of makes sense to put them under one. And the definition should include that, it would include those things. And if it doesn't, that's something we need to look at. Food processing, could potentially go under light manufacturing, but I think we flagged it as one for you guys to talk about because it is currently a separate use. And we'll want to hear your thoughts. I would request that we do that when we review the use table, just because we can actually look at it and discuss it all in depth then, but I think it's not wrong for you to hone in on it.
Well, just, and also just that it's not shown that it was taken out is also, like, it's, you go to 2 of them and you look at them and it's in here and it's not in here, but there's nothing that says it's not in here, even though I watched the CPIC meeting from the other night. It sounds like this was talked about fairly recently within a time where it should have been in the red line version, and it's just been disappeared, so.
My fear is this, what you have in front of you is going to confuse the current issue. I think the current step is what Sky's been doing is putting the current uses in comparison with what's in the recode use table, and just seeing how everything lines up for zone or amendment zone. I think that's probably what everybody needs to do.
So why, can I just ask why you flagged it, Tom? Why did you think food processing, did you think it should be combined? Because wasn't clear to me why that was flagged by
It
you.
was just simply too similar to the definition of restaurant fast food. So I'm just finding it here.
See where he says here in the comments,
I saw that, yeah.
So Tom, and I guess I don't disagree, but before I suggest we just sort of put this aside. 2 thoughts. One is there anything substantial in this list that we should discuss? And secondly, just bear with me a second. The gray ones are the policy ones. Typically, this board does not establish policy. Policy comes from the Board of Selectmen, right? And so I would, granted, if the Board of Selectmen wants us to do that in conjunction with our review, that's, I guess, what we can do. But has any discussion happened with the Board of Selectmen on that, on the quote, the gray area?
Oh,
All right, and is there something substantial in this that we should look at?
I don't think so. Just to point out this example of food processing, the definitions up there. As it stands, it was too close to our definition of restaurant fast food. So it was. I added.
So you added some stuff.
Added some stuff.
So you have this locked
made it
down.
better.
Awesome.
So it actually clarifies, it makes more sense, right?
It did get included in the artisan manufacturing. Because it does state custom food items, custom food items. In the recode, so it was captured.
But not defined.
Well, it's defined in the definition of artisan manufacturing.
Oh,
Just it says custom made.
so it just doesn't have it.
But
Includes it.
it's the definition of custom, general food processing or specific to,
Just saying that it
no, I
carried over.
I understand.
I think most of them carried over in some degree, but
Yeah, okay.
But artisan food does not include, and maybe I'm just gonna show my age, but in Belfast, you used to have Maplewood Processing, which processed chickens. And that was not artisan. I mean, where they dump stuff into the Penobscot into the bay.
That won't be allowed. Don't worry.
Right. No, but I'm just saying, that was food processing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so go ahead.
I just want to say that artisan manufacturing is one of the biggest issues with the use table. I think the intention was to just rephrase light manufacturing. It doesn't work. And in my proposed use table, it goes back to light manufacturing. I think we can encompass food processing under light manufacturing, but this has come up as an issue tonight. And in all reality, the fact that it's making me think that we should have it as its own use. It was one where I feel like we talked about it, Tom,
Oh,
we very much,
Yeah.
we were both just, I think the three of us said this could really go either way. We could try to put it under light manufacturing, or it could be its own use. I think there's one zone differentiation, that is different between those two. So this is really one that I would bring to the board and ask you guys to, debate the merits of it and make your choice.
Well, and that, just to talk artisan for a second. Because I bumped into that a number of times. If we're gonna call something out as artisan, then we need to put at least a good definition, if not some examples of what we're calling artisan. Because I can tell you that that gets into a whole debate as well. When someone is applying for something and they say it's artisan and someone else says it's not artisan,
Yeah.
right?
It
Because
honestly,
people have a different perspective of artisan as well.
yeah, it honestly actually has a robust definition, but it's a bad one. It doesn't fit for Topsham, it's not a good choice. I couldn't in good conscience recommend to you that you adopt an ordinance with that current definition in it, because it just doesn't fit. And that's what I've been trying to do for a little while, is find these issues in the use table so that we can not make a lot of people non-conforming. I really don't like to make people non-conforming. I'd like to make less people non-conforming, quite honestly. So all stuff we can talk about when we get to the use table, and I think you'll have a visual that will really help you with it.
So can we, first of all, I guess unless this board disagrees, I think we move on from, can we let Tom sit back? All right, anyone else in the group here?
Yeah, just jump in on one question you had a minute ago.
Yeah.
So I think Tom's definition of policy
Yeah,
is maybe a little different than what maybe it's being interpreted as. So ultimately, the person that sets policy is actually not even the select board. They might set operating procedures or something, but it's town meeting. So what Tom was saying, some of this stuff is more than just cleaning up errors. So he didn't feel comfortable, in
okay,
essence, writing the zoning code for the
yeah,
town.
no,
So these would still be items that you guys would want to weigh in and tell us how you want it, because you have to make a recommendation to town meeting. So the ultimate one to decide, even Tom's great thing, will be you guys, and then select board basically just puts it on the agenda for town meeting, and then town meeting voted on it.
all right, good point, thank you. Are we okay moving off of this list or not?
Yeah.
Larry, did you have a furrowed brother, do you have something else you wanted to ask about?
Oh, well, no, I think we're fine moving off the list. If we're going down item by item, one question I had was on stream, but I mean, that's gonna be something that we'll.
Well, we can, I mean, if you'd like to ask the question, he's here, it's a good time to ask.
Sure. Well, you can invite Tom anytime. But, yeah, I just, and I don't really have, everything completely put together.
Which item are you looking at? So,
Where it says, specific homes.
So- all right, so second,
And-
225-6 stream, okay.
Yeah. And so I guess the question I have is is the proposal with regard to streams? And how we're gonna handle streams?
Sure. Proposal is, we had the presentation for the new shoreline draft. It would be the state required definition of a stream, because of the shoreline zoning.
So, it's my understanding that the municipality can actually, they have to have them, the state standard is the minimum. Municipality can actually go further. And in order to protect other potential water courses that are not being protected under the state definition. Is that
Like,
correct?
yeah, we'll see.
So, because we have a lot of, in Topsom, I mean, I haven't done a survey of it, but my understanding is that we have a lot of seasonal streams. You know, the intermittent water course type things. Would those be still protected under the state definition? If they're, especially if they're not in the shoreline protection. I know shoreline protection
Yeah.
district is entirely different.
Where you going, the current definition is based on a hybrid of the state DEP National Resource Protection. It doesn't include all the items in that definition, it includes 4 of the 5. And of those 4, you have to make field determinations in order to determine what is and what is not a stream. You can't look at a map, you can't determine it by second order, which is the DEP shoreline definition. And the DEP does that, so anybody can download the data and make their maps from that. The work's already been done. And that can be determined without expertise. The NERPA definition requires expertise and knowledge of wetland science. So the definition that was adopted in 2008 has never been implemented by the town. They adopted it, but they never made provisions to hire anybody or require applicants to obtain somebody to make these field determinations. So it simply wasn't done. And that's the point. Does the town want to?
I'm sorry, Tom.
Does the town want to impose that on everybody coming in for any application? I don't care what it is, shed, a deck. You have to do a field determination if there's a stream on your property under the NERPA definition. Is that what wants to happen? My guess is no. So the proposal was just to revert back to the state definition of the DEP.
But that would be
The rest too.
But that would be a
NERPA
policy
side.
decision, though, correct?
The town can make it as strict as they want. I would suggest that they make provisions to enforce it though.
So
So,
require people to provide.
so where are we at? You have it
Well-
ready to present?
Yeah, the draft is already complete. It was completed by the consultant we hired, who actually used to work for DEP, and he drafted the ordinance. Was one of the draft.
And it essentially is consistent with the
It's
state.
consistent with the state. The state's already done a preliminary review of it. And they said that it's adopted essentially how it's presented, they would recommend it.
No,
The one thing we don't have yet is the maps, so we can't complete the process of them.
all right. So there's no, we should wait until you have the maps to bring it through. Okay.
We missed the deadline for town meeting this year, so the result of that, the ships are focused to other things, but we haven't had some time recently.
So that will-
Really need to finish those maps. It'll certainly be for next year.
Okay, good.
I have a question. I don't have any problems with anything on here other than just how they flow between the, comparisons. I did have, could you tell me what SZ references?
Shoreline zone,
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's several references to handouts. Is that,
okay?
was the handout the
So,
red line you were showing us before? or-
no, when
Okay.
things are unclear to me,
Oh, yep.
I make handouts, I interpret.
Some of your handouts. I was reading through those tonight.
And I won't go there, but. Well, anyways.
No, you can show.
They're awesome.
Yeah,
I was
We
reading
got
a
them all,
mobile home
so,
one or something.
the zoning information is here. So these were just usually based on questions that came up, repeated questions. And these aren't real clear in the ordinance, but I think I made reasonable interpretations of what they do. So you can pick one and that's about it.
So it's almost like the frequently asked questions.
Yeah, these are the, yeah, these are the commentary versions of the ordinance.
Love it. So like real life scenarios that you deal with, so that we
Yeah,
can, we
well,
can.
one is the sign, okay,
Like,
we had a new sign.
An example.
Always fits a year ago. But I got question after question on different pieces, so I just finally took it all and made commentary to help.
You had to bring up the sign ordinance.
There's complaints and we have the answer.
Awesome.
Not that it's all correct,
Okay,
just business done.
okay.
Although we took longer getting the electronic
Don't wanna
sign.
go back.
Okay, Any other questions on this table?
Not a question, just a comment. It's helpful to see that kind of thing, with scenarios that you run into.
Sure.
So that if a change is coming, then we know why.
Yeah.
And because that was my biggest problem with changes was why are we making a change? What's gonna be and what was? So that would be really helpful if you had real life examples like that you deal with on a regular, I don't, pick one, but if you could just kind of refer to that, that would be very good.
Okay. So moving on from that, I guess I'll ask the board or anyone else. What we had talked about at the last meeting is this, we also talked about the use tables. Is it possible that we could get to the use tables?
I'm not prepared for that tonight.
No, not tonight,
Oh, yes, next meeting.
for our next meeting, right?
Actually, I did want to talk about, sorry, you made me nervous. It's like, oh gosh, I'm not ready with that tonight, but I am looking forward to talking about it with you guys. I did also want to talk about you guys moving forward. And I'm just moving back to this, but because I think it's pertinent. So we had talked about with the idea of recode moving forward, that it would be helpful if you had an established night to do recode on, so you're not feeling stressed with development review or pressured that there's one night for doing recode. Is that something that the board wants, that one of your meetings a month is for recode?
I think what I heard was the board is fine with one meeting a month being for recode, not adding an additional meeting.
Right.
Yep, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
And based on what you said, I would assume that that works with you too, because you felt like having 3 meetings, I thought was going to be a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, I realized that I wouldn't necessarily need to go to all of them, so for me, it got a little less stressful, but that means nothing for you guys who would be expected to go to all of them.
So yes, I think unless someone disagrees, I think we try to focus one meeting a month on recode, the other meeting on the projects, right?
Maybe
And
you have some things.
every so often we'll need to get a project in there so that we're not delaying everybody an extra month.
Yes, I absolutely understand, and I think that that makes sense, so that's great to hear. I think, so this is the first June meeting. You have a development scheduled for June 25th, the Sky High affordable housing project pre-application sketch. Because of that, I would propose that we reconvene on recode on July 9th. It'll give me plenty of time to get the use table all set for you. We are not completely done with it. And then we could move into, kind of de facto, the first planning board meeting of the month is for recode. We can be flexible if we need to move forward, but I do think it'll be helpful for probably me, probably for you guys, and probably for the public if there's a bit more. This is the one that goes for recode, but it's your meeting, so I'm happy to hear all of your thoughts on that. Those are just mine.
Could I request that we get printed copies of the code?
Oh,
Recode and the current, recode, the current code, and I'd actually like the comprehensive plan too. I don't know, I feel like for reviewing, we're gonna need paper copies. I know we're supposed to be paperless, but.
No, they all have recode copies, and I'm sorry, I have one of them in my office I can get for you. Actually, if you want to come up with me after tonight, I'll just get it to you.
Actually, I was gonna ask something similar. If you could put together a book for every one of us, and if CPIC doesn't have it for the members of CPIC. And what would be helpful is exactly what she said, our latest version of everything.
So the recode, you want the entire zoning code? And is there anything else?
Use tables, all the
Yep.
ancillary stuff.
Yep.
And then I won't read through this whole list, but I would like to have a discussion, and again, it depends on when you think you'd be ready to do this. I'd like to compare or basically have a look at the zone changes, right? What is our current zone? What is our current zone? And what is the new zone, right? And the easiest one to pick on is Village Center, right? But so a comparison of the zone changes, and then when we have that discussion, I want to talk about what's the new versus the old, what's the rationale from Village Center to Upper Village, what's the rationale for the transition zones and so forth, and talk through all those things. And I think this can probably be done on the same document, but I'm still carrying around one of my favorite documents that Tom gave me somewhere. You can probably do a lot of it with this, right? But, you know, this huge document, right? But that leads me into the discussion of, because I still remember, I don't have to open up the full document because the first thing I see is right there where we have PCD, and basically, PCD, planned mixed use and planned residential are all NA in the entire matrix, right? So, if we could get a look at that. And then I know that there's been a effort to update. And I'd like to have in that discussion, John Wesleski's letter. And then your response, but also where CPIC is at in regards to that. And then also, I was looking at these documents, which were the comparison ones that Tom did and the updated ones. And I think it all sort of comes out together with the use table look, but we end up with, for example, won't go through all of them, but for example, the zone that seemed to be hit the hardest was over on Park Drive. And if I understood everything that I've looked at here and compare it to the previous version of this I have, the only change that was made to that after all the discussions was that it's now permitting 106 Park, but all the other projects that went non-conforming are still non-conforming, right? So if I could get an update on over that.
Can I comment on that one specifically, because it actually relates to the conversation we had earlier? So correct me if I'm wrong, Tom. Part of my understanding of the non-conformities and the mixed transitional is that the definition of artisan manufacturing is county.
Yeah.
Yes, so I do just want to note that that's the issue there. It's that, and I can't say why things were done with this code. I don't think many decisions have been made since I've been the director. Honestly, I came in thinking the decisions had been made. I have slowly unraveled that that is not necessarily the case. But the artisan manufacturing, as I said, I mean, I guess if you guys want to overrule me and put it in the recode, you can, but I would not professionally suggest that you do. It's a bad definition. It doesn't do what anyone, I think, means for it to do. I think that the intention was for it to be similar to light manufacturing.
And that's okay. We don't
No,
need to,
I just want to let you know.
we don't need to deliberate tonight, but I am asking for a rationale on all of those
Yes.
and why we have it, right?
Absolutely.
Because I can sit there and say, why is VIP still non-conforming, right? When we were told different things had been accomplished. Or over on that particular location, what are we doing with self-storage? I don't think that fell under artisan, right? Maybe the gourmet lobster did, but not that. Maybe marble comes under artisan as well, or I would have probably had under light manufacturing. And then I think the part of that discussion is also, how does all that look as in what is said in all of this in comparison to what is also in TDI's bylaws as to what, as the developer, the original developer for those first half a dozen lots. And we've talked about that before as well. I think we should see how all that fits with what's being proposed.
That is great. Thank you for giving me all of that. All I wanted to note was that anything that was manufacturing is listed as non-conforming due to a bad definition. I don't think anyone intended for it. You could look at that and guess that they'll probably move back to a conforming status. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
The other thing that I wanted to clarify was, we just talked about doing the use table on the line 9. I'm happy to do that. The use table will kind of show you how things changed with the zones, but would you maybe prefer to look at the map first to talk about the map boundaries to understand that going into the use table? It might clarify things for you guys.
Well,
I'm really unsure about that.
I was originally thinking we want to look at the zones first. However, because we brought up the use table in our last meeting, I didn't want to overrule what was being asked for, but I think that they all go together.
I don't disagree with you that they go together, but I would like to know what I should be focusing on, because I think that, you know, I do not have unlimited time and I wanna be real about my ability.
So
to
can we
compare
talk about the
items.
zone and the zone changes and the rationale behind the zone changes? And can we look at the use tables? And if time permits, can we have a discussion about PCD?
I wouldn't feel confident saying that we could do maps and use table, honestly, in the same meeting at this point. I worry that those two things would take too much time to comfortably get
Okay,
really well prepared for you by then.
so I guess, what would the board rather see first?
Use.
Yeah, use first.
All right, use first.
Okay, great. I can try to bring some supplemental things to kind of help with it, but I don't think I'll have everything ready for that.
But maybe we don't talk about it, but we need the maps too. To
Oh, just to
look at the use.
Well, the map,
Right,
the map
just
should
for
be in your
reference.
book.
Yep.
Oh, right, okay, we're getting books.
That's fair.
Yeah, so you want, in these books that you discussed, you want the current recode draft. I'm assuming you want that in a color so that you can read the red line. You want the entirety of the current zoning code and all ancillary items, use tables, dimensional. And I'm just gonna turn around and check with my boss if that is physically possible.
They can have color. We would actually color because it has the document. You guys-
Sorry, he's the boss on that.
There you go.
Okay, great. So if he said yes, I will be printing the recode, current code, all ancillary items, and I will be putting them in binders for them.
Or we'll take it to the station because it's cheaper. Yes, we'll get color.
I think you're right.
I just didn't want to overpromise, and then Mark and I are
That's
having
fine.
a discussion and it can't work, so.
I think you just did a John Luke Picard. Make it so.
Dimensional.
I think you're gonna need all that, because,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we need split screens.
I agree.
Yeah, we don't even have our iPads tonight, I'm like trying to look at the code on my phone.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's
I associate those with development review. I should have run them down for you.
That's fine.
Okay, so I think, since I've gotten the go ahead from up top, I should be able to have those ready for you, next
Okay.
time. Yeah, is that okay, guys? We should be able to have those ready for you, and we will focus on the use table. We may be able to have some stuff to help with the maps, but I'm just trying to be realistic about my abilities.
That's fine.
We've gotten, I mentioned this because I think you'll all be interested. Irene Dubril has submitted her letter of retirement. She'll be retiring at the end of July, so we are ramping up to be hiring for her replacements. I'm just trying to be realistic about my department's times and abilities over the next 2 months as a result.
How many years did she work there?
26. You know?
I think she said 25.
Yeah, 25, 26.
So Mark, has been a huge support for the planning board, so please thank her.
We'll have a little reception for her at some point. We'll be sure to invite you guys.
All right,
Okay, and so we will talk about the map. And I think some of the things you brought up may be resolved as we move through things as well, is all I'll say. Just to let you know. But next time, let me write this down so it's very specific. Trying to be good about this. Next time, July 9th. Thank you. Focus is use table, need books. Think we can have that for you? Did I miss anything?
So we won't get the books until the 9th, right?
I feel like it would probably be good if you could get them beforehand. I'd like to run it like that.
yeah, if you can let us know, we ought to be able to stop by and pick them
Yeah,
up.
if there's some timing issue, I will email you guys and communicate with you, but I think I probably want to have them ready the same time that your normal memo materials would go out, so I guess if you guys are willing to go back in time a little bit to when you used to pick your stuff up at the police station, something such as that.
Pick things up over there.
You send them out to print, maybe we can pick them up at the 25th.
Yeah, I'm gonna write, we'll update everyone on timing, maybe ready for 25th, I don't know why I think it's the 24th. We'll stay in good communication about this.
Okay,
Police department's actually not open 24 hours anymore. So we used to have dispatchers there.
Yeah.
But now it's all going to Saginaw after business hours.
well, we went there for a number of years, picked up stuff. And then some of us holdovers still got paper, while everybody else is using the tablets. All right, I guess, is there anything else before we adjourn?
Oh, unrelated question. A development on, Meadow Cross. We were talking one time about taking the site view. At that time, there was snow on the ground. I think the snow might have melted.
I hope so.
Given today, definitely.
Yeah, that's great that you brought that up, actually. They have not submitted for pre-land yet. They were at the Conservation Commission meeting at the beginning of June, kind of finalizing some things with them. Do you want that sidewalk scheduled when prelim is submitted, or do you want us to reach out to them about scheduling it prior to prelim, so you might have more input on how things are laid out?
I think see the prelim.
I was gonna say, that's when we did that last one we did on 201.
Okay,
It worked well because we had basically all the documentation, at least the initial documentation, and they had pins so we could kind of see the layout of
Yeah.
where the lots were and stuff. I thought that was useful,
Yes.
Yeah,
right? It also helped us from a standpoint of when we had testimony, we'd been there, so some of the testimony was a little bit biased, and I'll just leave it at that.
and I think that when you guys had talked about that, you had talked about the idea of holding that sidewalk the night before the preliminary meeting was to be held.
The night of.
Yeah, sorry, I meant before the meeting.
Right,
day of.
exactly.
Yes, I apologize. Is that how you'd still like to move forward
Yeah.
with that?
I think so.
Okay, great. So you'd like to stick.
From them at all?
Yep, yeah, we spoke to Joe at the Conservation Commission meeting at the beginning of June. The wetland delineation took a lot longer than we thought it was going to. I think the company just got backed up. We were a little worried there, but it seems like things are moving ahead.
Yeah, wetlands
Do you have
people
any idea
have.
which meeting that will be coming to? Because I need to
No, I don't.
think, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They haven't submitted.
You'll
yet.
give us an advance notice, a couple weeks probably, so.
Yeah, we can reach out. Let me write this down. Just because.
So we're gonna be doing it before the meeting, so we're gonna need at least another hour.
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, I was thinking, so you guys have a 6:30 meeting, it seemed just so you'd have enough time to do everything, get back here probably at 4:30. Makes sense to me, but if anyone has different opinions on that, please let me know.
I think 5 is fine.
5, okay. Schedule.
Any time to pick the tick slot.
Yeah, night of preliminary meeting.
Just wear long pants and not shorts.
yeah.
We can all be styling with our pants tucked into our socks. Schedule at 5 p.m. night of preliminary meeting, notify PB as soon as it's submitted. The quickest they could get to a meeting would be 3 weeks because it's a preliminary, those usually take a little longer. I would guess we'll be closer to 4 or 5 weeks, honestly. So we'll let you know as soon as that happens.
Well, they have to post the sidewalk as well.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and we need to,
What's the
prelim
notice
we
for
do.
that?
Right,
What's the notice for that? What's the required notice for?
to allow,
Yeah, but how much time, I'm sorry, notice?
So we have to know, so we've been doing prelims as public hearings, that's the precedent you guys have set, I would not suggest changing it for this project. And we need multiple weeks at this point because of the way newspapers are, to do that. So you would at least get a couple weeks from that. Specifically for the sidewalk, we're not required to notice that, but we'll put it up on the website, it'll be specifically, I've seen how they've done it in the past. I'll try to look if they've put that in anything.
I thought they did because it is a public walkthrough. It's not a public hearing, but it is a
Yeah.
public.
We'll definitely put it on the website and the agenda for
Okay.
sure. I don't know if it would go into the public hearings at all, like I'll look to see what they've done in the past for those. These submissions received. But you guys will
Well,
definitely,
technically, it is evidence for what we do,
Right.
yeah,
so I think it's a public hearing.
Let her look it up.
But I'm not here to advise.
yeah, I think what you're notifying people of technically when you notify a public hearing is their right to come speak on something.
Yeah.
We notice all our meetings, we put out agendas on them and this will definitely get that treatment. It'll go up on the website. I just don't want to muddy the public hearing notice if it shouldn't have that in there.
Yeah, but sidewalks, we do. And the Grimmel one is the only one that was handled a little bit differently, but that was because of the way Grimmel tried to get around something with staff. But
Mhm.
basically, we ask if anyone has questions, just to ask their questions through the chair.
Mhm.
And that's always worked out pretty well.
Okay, yeah, I've not done one with you guys since I've been here, so if you guys have recollections or anything you want to share with us, please go ahead. You guys have a body of knowledge that I do not, so I'm just happy to hear.
The sidewalk will will be noticed on the abutter cards too?
I'm not
Send
sure
them out?
about
Okay.
And we will, that makes
Okay.
sense. Better more notice than.
Right.
Yeah, I guess the butter cards doesn't matter, I just wasn't sure about the newspaper, but that's kind of governed by something.
I was just more worried that the neighbors could come to it if they wanted to.
And they will.
And is there, I mean, with the latest technology and everything else, is there any movement to go away from having to do it through the newspaper that most people don't even get anymore?
They tried that in the legislature this past session,
Yeah.
but the newspapers basically said, if you take away our last reliable source of revenue, we're gonna go down. So they convinced the legislature to require that you still publish the newspaper, but the newspapers have added online options so that when they don't publish very often, there's still a way to get notices of.
We'll have to talk about that more. Check on. Okay. Any other questions? We're, you know, rolling through things, so.
If not,
Just to
Ron?
let you know that July 9th I won't be here.
Okay,
Hopefully I'll be covered up for a full day.
good.
That one.
Well, then, hopefully you are.
Right.
Recently deceased or just
No, I'm just.
lay it on
On
the hearth?
I'm gonna last. 2 weeks.
Good, good for you.
That's awesome.
Nice, nice.
That'll be really good.
Oh.
You know, we have, Mike Line, you should talk to him about Alaska. He was from up there.
Oh, that,
And he was chair of the DAC for the bridge, right? And he lives locally,
oh,
so,
that,
yeah, I'll send you his contacts. Give him a call. He can fill you in Alaska.
he has, and Mike has too.
Oh, good. All right, anything else? Otherwise, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting. All right, thank you all.